We're now joined from Cairo by Al-Ahram Weekly Managing Editor Khaled Dawoud, who's joining us here on Qnews. Thank you very much for being here with us. Now, how do you view Egypt's efforts to deliver aid to the Gaza Strip?
Well, thanks, Mark, for having me. Of course, Egypt's role has been extremely important and vital since the beginning of this war nearly 2 years ago. But after the most recent closure that Israel has imposed on the occupied Gaza Strip, the situation has become tremendously unbearable for the majority of the Palestinians living in Gaza, different parts of Gaza, whether in the south or in the middle or in the north. And after what we see now as the horrifying images coming out of the starving children and the number of children who died because of the intentional starvation policy followed by Israel, I think there has been a world outrage against Israel forcing the current government to accept the demands by Egypt, other Arab countries, and other European nations as well, to allow them to drop from the air these aid packages that we've been seeing over the past week. But nevertheless, Egypt's effort is not limited to this. I think we're also witnessing a lot of diplomatic pressure to reach the kind of an agreement to end the war in Gaza and to return to the terms that were reached at the beginning of this year when Trump became president of the United States, allowing at least 600 trucks a day inside the Gaza Strip. But definitely, the Egyptian effort has been vital in coordination with other Arab countries and European nations in order to force Israel to give up its strict policy of punishing the entire Palestinian population of Gaza by depriving them from much needed food, fuel, and even medicine.
Yes, just on the fuel part, Khaled Dawoud, the fuel trucks, of course, are being sent in, and this is to save the hospitals. This is what Egypt's doing to save the hospitals. Could you explain a bit about that?
Well, again, you know, the Israeli control is definitely included fuel because they know that this is very much needed for the entire infrastructure operations in Gaza, whether related to hospitals or even to drinking water, Mark. I mean, this is another major challenge for the Palestinian people. But again, as I said, I mean, it's becoming undeniable by the entire world, including by U.S. President Donald Trump, that the Palestinian people are suffering unbearable suffering, and it has to come to an end. The real fear, unfortunately, is that the Trump administration would only work on a new system to distribute aid within Gaza, despite the failed experience of the so-called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, as we've seen from the visit by the U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, a couple of days ago to the distribution points of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, that they praised the activity of this organization. At the time, the entire world almost had been condemning this operation that turned into a trap to kill Palestinians on a daily basis. And even within the United States itself, we've seen letters signed by 44 senators asking the U.S. administration to reveal the details of this operation in coordination with Israel and to return to the system that the Palestinians have been used to for decades through UNRWA and other UN agencies for the distribution of food, fuel, and very much needed medicine. So again, we're witnessing this Egyptian effort to reopen the Rafah crossing point in order to speed up the entry of hundreds of trucks that are waiting on the Egyptian side for over 3 months so that they can reach the Palestinian people, not just in the southern parts, but all over Gaza, including the north that has been under the tight heat of the Israeli occupation force.
And of course, Egypt is a key mediator when it comes to trying to achieve a ceasefire. In your view, Khaled Dawoud, where are we with that now, do you think?
I think it's getting very complicated. We've been hearing contradicting statements from the U.S. Middle East envoy after his recent visit to Israel that they are now working on a comprehensive agreement and not just a temporary ceasefire, without really setting limits of or the parameters of this so-called comprehensive agreement, because we're seeing that even the Israeli population are turning right now, maybe for the first time, the U.S. administration accusing Trump of not doing enough to pressure the Israeli Prime Minister to accept the terms of a ceasefire. Again, probably the pressure coming in from Israel is going to be very influential in determining the future of these negotiations, considering the internal situation in Israel and the pressures by the right-wing extremist parties such as those of Ben Gvir and Smotrich are trying to delay not just reaching a ceasefire agreement, but are actually pushing for the emptying the Gaza Strip from its population by forcing the people to displace to other nearby countries, and at the same time speaking about the expansion of settlements in the Gaza Strip. So, I mean, again, it's very important to continue the international pressure that we're seeing recently, not just from Egypt and Arab countries, but including from very influential European nations, including France, the United Kingdom, who have recently announced that they are not at all giving any credibility to the Israeli claims on the necessary measures they are taking against the Palestinians, and even moved a step further towards the recognition of the Palestinian state. So right now, practically speaking, we're seeing Israel and the United States isolated among the international community amid this outcry against the extreme violations and war crimes that are being committed against the Palestinian people.
And of course, there's been repeated provocative attacks by the extremist Israeli Minister Ben Gvir against Al-Aqsa Mosque. What is your view on that?
Again, you know, that's the consequence that we're paying the price for by having this extremist government in Israel. I mean, Ben Gvir and Smotrich, they're both members of organizations that were considered as terrorists and dubbed as terrorists even by the U.S. State Department. So again, I mean, some people would argue that, I mean, if you look at the Hamas claims concerning the October 7 attacks, one of the key reasons are the policies of those extremist ministers, whether in terms of violating the scarcity of and the significance of Al-Aqsa Mosque for Muslims and Arabs worldwide, or by the expansion of settlements in the occupied West Bank. And I guess that this is what the current Israeli government is aiming for, that even if they are being pressured to stop the war against Gaza, I mean, they would be demanding some heavy price from the current American administration in terms of recognizing its annexation of the West Bank and considering it to be part of the Israeli territory. So,
well, thank you.
Witnessing the contradicting pressures, but again, I think that we've never seen such an amount of international pressure and condemnation of the Israeli practices in the occupied territories. And I guess that this is one key reason to stop this war.
Thank you very much, Khaled Dawoud, joining us, Al-Ahram weekly managing editor. Thank you very much indeed.